Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another video. So I decided to do another Google Translate. Obviously, if you guys have been here before, you knew that I Google Translated the entire FNAF storyline or lore or whatever. So now I decided to do Poppy Playtime because I absolutely love that game. So yeah, we're gonna get right into this, and no face cam for this one. So I hope you guys just enjoy my voice and reading this, and it's gonna be very nice. So anyway, let's start with Chapter 1. So it obviously is labeled Chapter 1 History. So in Chapter 1, players explore the company's Playtime game. The company produces poppies and other toys. The player assumes the role of an employee of Playtime Company. He decides to visit the factory. Oh, okay, that's pretty much how the game goes. But show business began 10 years ago. Has been deleted, but not for professional or other reasons. The company's Playtime Sports factory is closed indefinitely while workers work, but they never leave the factory for a day. The players can return to the game mode after receiving a letter from an employee who disappeared 10 years ago. And while the kids don't play badly, the first episode shows they're a real experience. In other words, lost workers are created in this evil game. However, this hasn't been confirmed by developer Poppy Playtime, so it's just speculation at this point. It still does not work. While walking through the haunted factory, a player-recorded VHS tape reveals many secrets of the Playtime Company toy factory. Huggy Wuggy is the villain of Season 1 of Popeye. The first thing players encounter when joining their team is Huggy Wuggy. Back in the game, Huggy Wuggy was the factory mascot. When the children went out, they made the Poppy the factory mascot. A harmless toy will appear in the middle of the room. However, when the player tries to open the door to the room, the power to the room turns off. Huggy Wuggy no longer exists when the player enters the power room or gains power. During the game, he is interrupted by Huggy Wuggy as he walks around the factory. From there, the player goes to the room where Poppy is in the crystal. Poppy Playtime is the company's first game, work activities. When you open Poppy's bag, Poppy opens her eyes and talks to you. "Open my box," Poppy said before the game ended. Although he was a minor character in the first episode, he became a partner in the second episode, Jumping the Web. The second part is exactly the same. So part 1 and 2, 100% the same. The events of the next chapter take place at the end of the first semester. The game returns to the factory, but this time in a different location. Later, at the factory, Elliot visits Ludwig's office. In the first episode, we learn that he founded Playtime. Poppy introduces himself as an actor, and he leaves the factory with praise, but it ends when his hand takes Parrot hostage in the dark. Poppy Time Playtime 2. Mick Chung Wang Love. What? A taller Makin looked behind him as he kicked Makin with both of his legs and reached out his hand. He promised me the code to get out of the factory. However, the player must complete three missions in the game station. Additionally, a long-legged mummy threatens to kill the player if the mission is not completed. Memories and photos, especially for music. They won their 2 bad games, but the third game is Army. Players must walk through fire while fighting it. Additionally, PC will follow the Pugga pillar and approach it if the player moves while the light is on. The only way to be safe is to leave the desert. However, it ends with when the player performs an attack to get rid of PJ's Pug pillar. Players go to the best place. He called the actor a predator. Mama Poppy Longlegs in the villain of episode 2 of Playtime. My mother walked through the factory on her long legs, and although her hands cried in the factory, she did not move away from the pain even after being beaten. He cried out in pain, but was afraid of falling over. Shortly after death, the body was placed on the finger with a needle. Hungry Mummy is long 1006 experiment, known as the prototype. They don't know much about games. However, the VHS tapes available to the player show that the archetype is violent in nature. Playtime Inc. This threat can be monitored, controlled, and removed. Additionally, Chapter 2 reveals that the prototype killed the scientists working on it. Poppy has other plans for players. When the player reaches the third part of the train code, they encounter Poppy again, except this time he was caught at night. The player stopped bullshitting to stop her. and Poppy's attitude seems to change. After freeing the player, he immediately asks if he is dead. It means long-legged mummy. It disappears when the player enters the vehicle. In the middle of the car, McPhee begins to explain that he had time to think about it. Oh, Nanny McPhee. He begins to talk about how the cast got them thinking about their next move. He later added the player was too good to leave the factory. The car immediately rolled over and spun backwards. The last thing the player sees is the icon representing the view game area. Can Popeye stop the heroes from escaping? It was surprising that he admitted to being an ally of the priest from the start, but there is more than meets the eye. Protagonist Elliot believes that Lugwood is the priest's long-lost lover. No! The loss affected Elliot and caused him to experiment with poppy seeds. Even some famous players think of their girlfriend who turned them on, so they test people. Back to why Mama Longlegs solves these 3 Playcare problems. The first of these problems after the loss of children. If they fail, they leave the factory. However, after passing 3 tests, they can only enter the factory. We believe Chapter 3 will shed more light on this. However, as we know, only children's toys are packaged and packaged. But in addition, the actor also has a role in the investigation. I remember every conversation I had with Lulu's mother. Every single one of them. Not a single moment do I forget. She told me that he was the athlete who made more money than anyone in the study. Well, anyway guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this one. And remember to never Google Translate Poppy Playtime.